Hello everyone, nice to see you again. Welcome to this second video of the 10th class of this strategic management unit. During this video, we're going to speak a little bit about the Spanish economy and the Spanish political framework. I am aware that you were supposed to be here in Madrid, in CIE Madrid. It's a pity, but I really encourage you to come here to Spain when this corona crisis passes, okay? We are going to speak in this video about the main characteristics of the Spanish economy and the Spanish political framework. The form of government in Spain is a parliamentary monarchy, that is a social representative democratic constitutional monarchy in which the monarch is the head of state, while the prime minister, who is officially the president of the government, is the head of the government. Here you can see the Spanish royal family. This is the king and the queen, the monarch and his wife. This is the Princess of Asturias, the king's daughter. And the Infanta Sofia of Spain, the king's daughter, is the girl of the right. And Juan Carlos I and the Queen Sofia, the king's parents, are not anymore part of the Spanish royal family. Students still ask me in classes, what's the quality of our democracy? Well, Spain is what we call a full democracy. Spain democracy was ranked 18 last year out of a total of 167 democracies analyzed. We are, for example, with the highest democratic standards, highest than France, Portugal, Italy, Belgium, or the United States. So, of course, our democracy is not perfect, but we fulfill with the highest standards in the world. You have to be aware that for being part of the European Union, you have to fulfill the highest democratic standards in the world, and the quality of the Spanish democracy is quite high. Our Prime Minister is Pedro Sánchez, who took office in June 2018. He's the leader of the Socialist Workers' Party, which is the biggest party in the Spanish Congress. Pedro Sánchez was appointed to lead the government through a motion of no confidence against the former Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy, and this was the first time election of a Prime Minister via non-confidence motion in the Spanish history. And Pedro Sánchez won the most votes at the November 2019 general election, and in January 2020 he formed a coalition government with the support of another party called Unidas Podemos, as well as a group of pro-independent forces. As you can see in the image, Spain is divided in different regions. Spain is the most decentralized country in Europe, along with Switzerland, Germany, and Belgium, and I would say that it's one of the most decentralized countries in the world. You have to take into account that you will have 17 autonomous communities. All autonomous communities have their own elected parliaments, their own governments, their own public administrations, budgets and resources. Health and education systems, among others, are managed by the Spanish communities. And in addition, several communities, as the Basque Country, Navarre, they have their own public finance based on foral provisions. Other regions, for example, in Catalonia, the Basque Country, Navarre, or the Canary Island, they have a full-fledged autonomous police corps, replace some of the state police functions, and some of them, for example, Catalonia, Galician, or the Basque Country, they have their own languages, which they share within the Spanish language. Just a little bit of history. Since the Spanish Civil War between 1936 and 1939, the head of the state was a dictator, Francisco Franco, and when he died in 1975, we started what we call the Spanish transition to democracy, which was the period, the transition between the dictatorship and the democracy in Spain. It was one of the best transition from dictatorship to democracy of the world. It was in general a peaceful period, and we can say that the Spanish transition to democracy is a period of modern Spanish history, which started with the death of Francisco Franco. Francisco Franco restored the monarchy before his death, which made the King Juan Carlos I his successor, and the King Juan Carlos I led the Spanish transition to democracy. After a referendum that took place in 1978, a new constitution was adopted, which transformed Spain into a parliamentary democracy under a constitutional monarchy, what we are today. At its latest, the transition is said to have ended with the first peaceful transfer of executive power after the victory of Spanish socialist workers in 1982 general election. And finishing with the Spanish policy, we are going to speak about the Catalan crisis, which is one of the biggest crises that we've had since the Spanish transition. On October the 1st of 2017, the regional government of Catalonia held the Catalonia's independence referendum, which had been declared illegal by the Spanish courts. Despite such prohibition, the referendum was finally celebrated, and it created the Spanish world political crisis in decades. The regional police force of Catalonia refuses to act, and some Spanish policemen charge at the polling stations. A week later, on the October 27th, the Catalan parliament declared the independence, but the parliament was dissolved when central government of Madrid invoked the Article 155 of the Spanish Constitution for the first time and imposed the direct rule. As you can see in the chart, according to the World Bank, Spain is the 14th biggest economy in the world, and Spain is one of the 10 countries with the highest foreign direct investment in the world. I would say that the two biggest weaknesses of the Spanish economy is the Spanish unemployment rate and the Spanish debt. As you can see in the chart, the Spanish unemployment rate went down, and we are more or less with a 14% of unemployment rate, but you have to take in account that it's one of the biggest unemployment rate of the European Union, and with this corona crisis, our unemployment rate is going to increase until 20 or maybe 25%. We are going to see a brief video of a professor explaining the main weaknesses of the Spanish economy, maybe the unemployment rate and the collective bargaining.
We have around 21% of the active population in unemployed, and this is too much for one country, especially because we come not of a very low rate of unemployment, but of high rate. 8.5% was the best situation we had in the recent past. This has very important consequences from the economic, social, political, and human aspect of the unemployed. I would say it's a failure as a country. We said sometimes, well, this is a problem of the recession. When we come out of the recession, the problem will be solved. This is not real. So we have a very important structural problem of the labor market in Spain. This problem is bigger for young people. And this is also especially hard because the injustice and because of the lack of use of the resource, and the problem that this means for the future of these persons and the future of the economy. We have also a very high rate of temporal contracts in the temporary contracts in the Spanish economy. This is not good. Temporary contracts are good for the beginning of the professional relationship, of the job relationship, but it's not good as a long-term solution. And our problem is to have too many temporary contracts, and also they affect more to young people. 47% of the young people has now temporary contracts. This is not good because many times these contracts make a change from one to the other, and then it's very difficult to change to a definitive long-term contract. The difference between these different contracts is mainly the cost of firing people. These costs are very high in the Spanish economy, as in other economies, but in the Spanish economy it's very important. This means that the companies have incentives to stay with temporary contracts, jumping from one to the other and never coming to a long-term contract. In fact, less than 8% of the short-term contracts are converted into a long-term contract. And this is a big problem because these people means less loyalty to the company, less investment in education, less training, less commitment in the company. So it's very difficult to improve productivity and competitiveness of the economy due to this. The first point for me is to simplify this structure of contracts. We have now 17 kinds of contracts. There are too many for an economy. We need probably only one, with low firing costs, and probably slightly increasing in time, but one is enough, and it could simplify very much the panorama of the Spanish labor market. Second, we need to maintain the protection of the unemployed people during the crisis. This is not good for the long term, but now with the possibilities of having a high number of people unemployed during long periods, means that we need to maintain this during some times. Third, we need to modernize the collective bargaining scheme, and giving more importance to the bargaining at the level of the company and not at the level of the sector. And finally, we put in Spain not much emphasis in active policies of employment. I think they are very important. We put too much emphasis probably in reductions of the payroll taxes, and I think it's better to put more emphasis in the unemployed person than in the cost of the employment, helping people, for example, to develop better training and education programs, and the connection of the unemployment insurance with this structure of active policies of employment.
And here you can see, which is for me the second main problem of the Spanish economy, which is the highest. We have one of the highest debts of the European Union. I really encourage you to go to this website, in which you can see in real time how the Spanish debt is increasing. As you can see in the chart, we are more or less in the level of 110% of the debt in comparison with our gross domestic product. Okay, so I am not pretty sure if we are going to be able to repay such debt, and you have to take in account that with this corona crisis, we are negotiating with the rest of the European Union member states, so that they can loan us enormous amounts of money, but maybe our debt is going to go around the 140% of the in comparison with our gross domestic product. So I think that one of the biggest weaknesses of the Spanish economy is our public debt. And we are gonna finish this video with a couple of figures of this dramatic situation we are living with the coronavirus crisis. Today we are entering in our 7th week of confinement. Spain is the country with the highest number of coronavirus deaths relative to its population. I am aware that it is hitting a lot in the United States as well. We have more than 23,000 deaths, and Spain has surpassed Italy in terms of the number of deaths compared with the population. and some experts attribute the problem to a range of factors, including an aging population. We had the second agest population in the world after Japan, and of course, slow early detection efforts. So we are entering, into a deep recession. We cannot know which is going to be the scope of such recession. We do not know if we are going to have a V-shaped recovery or a slower recovery, an U-shaped rebound recovery. We do not know if we are facing another Great Depression or if we are going to be recovering in 1 year maybe. But we have to be aware that we have to continue working and to try to do our best. Thank you, students. I will see you on the next video.